Just going to start recording. So hello everybody officially. I'm Nicky Moran. Thank you so much for joining me for today's online training session. We've had a slightly technically chaotic start because this is me doing something completely new. I have never ever run something online before. It's something I've wanted to do for about 3 years, but I'm a complete virgin to this. So it's like, I'm really excited to be here, but I'm also a little bit nervous about doing it because it's something new. But it's also a big part of what I'm going to be talking today because it's about passion projects. It's about doing stuff that your heart really wants to do, but sometimes you don't do because you're scared of doing them. And you're scared because you're possibly fearing things going wrong, like technicalities, which was always the thing for me. But doing them anyway and finding ways to complete them as well. Because I know for many creatives, we start projects, but we don't finish them. So thank you so much. We've got quite a few people here live, which is amazing, including Ian. Hi, Ian, Johnny, Elliot, Morgan, Rona, Cameron, Gina, John. So thank you so much, guys, for making the time today to come and support me with this. It really means a lot to me that you've made the effort, and quite a few people are going to be watching this afterwards because I had a lot of interest for this topic. People from Australia. We actually have people live from New York today and Switzerland, so it's pretty international. So hello. So my intention for the next hour is to inspire you to do a passion project over the next few weeks, because it's Christmas coming up and the new year. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, it doesn't matter. It's often a time where we reflect a bit, and often I find what happens is we reflect negatively about our lives. We go into a state of, feeling a bit negative about things, or we don't feel like perhaps we've achieved enough in the year. We can be triggered by our family. We often go into a state that's perhaps not our best selves over Christmas. So when I was thinking about this project, I just woke up this week and thought, well, perhaps this is the perfect time to perhaps do it differently. And so that's what I thought I would do this call, to just launch an idea that I have that I want to share with you at the end. So I'll take you through the structure of what we're going to do for the next hour. So first of all, my passion is helping creatives really fulfill their dreams in life, to really go for what they want to do. And so the call for the next hour is for mostly the kind of clients I tend to work with. So they're ambitious creatives who have had some success doing the work, and they have probably chased the money work, which is mostly what we need to do in life. We need to make money to pay those bills. But often there's a feeling of being a bit creatively stifled because you're perhaps not spending enough time doing creative projects for yourself, for your own development. And for me, that's really, really important to prioritize, but it can be a real sticking point when you follow what you need to do to pay those bills. But this next hour is also relevant for you if you're not in the creative industries, but you work and have that same feeling of a slight lack of fulfillment creatively, like you're a little bit starved of doing something creative for yourself. So this call is totally relevant for you as well. You're really welcome if you're in that category. Okay. So I'm just going to take you through the structure of what we're going to do. And then I'm going to try and make it as interactive as possible. Someone new has arrived. Hello. Hold on. I'm just going to... Hi, Owen. Somebody new has just arrived, and as people are coming on, I'm just going to turn the videos off. But it's lovely to see you. Okay, so basically for the next structure, the structure for the next hour, should I say, we're going to be looking at why passion projects are absolutely vital for 3 things: for health, for happiness, and for success in your creative career or your business, depending on where you are. Absolutely vital. So we're going to start looking at that. And I do want to make this interactive, guys. I'm not just going to talk at you for the next hour because that would be really boring. Then I'm going to look at what gets in the way of us prioritizing them. and completing them. Because sometimes as creators, we start a lot of things, don't we? And we don't finish them. So what stops us from completing them? And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Then we're going to get into some exercises to really focus on a passion project that you love to do. So I'm going to be asking you to explore that, but I will start with that in a minute. And then I'm going to teach you a few strategies to actually make it possible to finish them and get a bit more organized. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you about a program I'm going to do over the Christmas holidays that I think will be amazing. And I'd love a few of you to get involved if you want to do that. Does that all sound okay? So for people on live, there's a chat box at the bottom. Could you just let me know if that sounds okay to you, how you're doing over there? Could you just chat in the message box? Yeah, yep. A few yeps. Yay! Sounds awesome. Oh, good. That sounds really great, Nicky. Oh, good. That's nice. Thank you very much. So please chat and I can see it live. So that's really, really helpful. So before we go into the topic, so I thought we'd just land a bit. So can I ask you all, wherever you are, some of you are in offices where there are other people around, some of you are at home, but I'm noticing my energy is a bit, because I'm a little nervous. And this is a tip I think that's really, really helpful for getting back to center. If you are doing something creative and you are feeling the nerves of that, I think this is a good place to start. So I'm going to ask you to just all close your eyes. So you're in the office, don't worry, no one will notice. Close your eyes a minute. And I just want you to take a few deep breaths. Really good deep breaths. So breathing in, holding your breath, and then breathing out slowly. So take a few deep breaths, breathing in, holding your breath, and then breathing out. And as we start the call, I want you to just check in with yourselves and to ask yourself, what's a passion project that's bubbling up for you? Now, some of you might have just arrived and you've only just heard about this call, but what is something that you've been dying to do or putting off? Perhaps it's taking some photographs, playing some more music, doing some art, doing some cooking. Perhaps it's just a bit more doing nothing, having space to meditate. Perhaps it's spending time in the garden. Perhaps it's time just doing some drawing for the hell of it, doing watercolors. What would feel really good to do if you gave yourself permission over the next few weeks? What would bring some more joy for you? So just take one more really good deep breath. Okay, and just open your eyes. And before we get going, I would love to hear just from 2 or 3 of you, is there any passion project you'd love to do? And if you want to speak, perhaps I can unmute you. Anybody want to speak?
I'll speak.
Who's that?
Johnny.
Hi, Johnny.
Yeah, so I want to develop my own typography.
Okay.
And I want to develop typeface. I'm a graphic designer for those who don't know me. And I have several things always going on, not pie in the sky. I usually kind of follow through with ideas actually, but that is a pie in the sky creative passion project I would like to do.
Okay. Wow, brilliant. And is there, so I'm hearing, Johnny, the thing that's...
So your mic has gone a bit, Olive.
Can you hear me?
A bit, but it's gone a bit.
Okay. And the thing that stops you from doing that is you've got a lot of different projects, right?
Yeah, I mean, I physically don't have the time. I'm never sitting on my arse not doing anything, so I need to just, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Johnny. Brilliant. Anybody else? Is there one more? Anybody else? Or you can type. Hold on. So John is saying, finally get a start on writing a radio play, a series. Did the premises characters this year, but haven't started writing it. Wow. Okay. Thank you, John. Morgan, do a drawing and send it to my mom. Oh my God, that's so lovely. That's so beautiful. Thank you, Morgan. Yeah. So it's those passion projects that, you know, they can feel really meaningful. And they're also the things that just never get done because there's always those other things that take our priority. So thank you for that. So let's look at this topic of passion projects. It's a real favorite of mine because for those who don't know me, I've been coaching creatives for a few years. I've only ever coached people one-to-one so far. And my volume has dipped apparently. Can you hear me now? Is that better? It's fine for me. Okay. Much better. Wonderful. Okay, I will stay close. I can hear you. Brilliant. I will stay quite close then. Sorry, that means I'm going to be my face is going to be big. Sorry about that. But hopefully that will make the sound a bit better. So let's look at why passion projects, shall we say, are really, really vital for health, happiness, and success. So I can tell you this from experience. They really are. From my own experience and from working with hundreds of clients now over the few years that I've been coaching creatives. When I started coaching creatives, I had a hunch about it from my own experience. But from working with many people, I have seen this is a common trend. Because the first problem I find with creatives is that when you always do projects to please other people or for other people, when you do it to make money, what can sometimes happen is you lose a sense of your own voice, your own self-confidence in your own expression. It hinders creative expression if you're constantly doing the money work. So I'm going to tell you a personal example of this. So my background is media and performing arts. So when I was at uni, I was really, really very creative. I did lots of different independent projects. I did a documentary about comedy. I did lots of writing. I did lots of writing about the arts. I was prolific. I had my own radio show, and I was really express and very, going for it. I had lots of get up and go and did lots of things from my own motivation. And then the first paid work I got was at a local BBC radio station. It was BBC Radio Leicester, because that's where I was at uni. And I was thrilled. I was so excited about getting this job. And I was commissioned to do reports for the breakfast show. And it was brilliant. I was really excited. And I think my first project, I did it in my own way, and it was quite creative. But then over time, what I noticed is I became less confident. As I became more adapted into the culture at the local BBC radio station, I found myself trying to fit in more and more. And I noticed that I was trying to replicate the style of what other people were doing to make sure I was doing a good job, to be really professional. So I think even my voice changed. I developed a bit of a BBC Radio Leicester accent, and my demeanour changed, and I lost my vitality. I became much more professional. And I don't think I was aware of doing it. I think I just did it because probably at some level, that's what everybody does in their professional life to some degree. And I noticed that there was an anxiety working there all the time. So sometimes I would have a report to do, and I would spend hours and hours and hours because I got really perfectionist over it, and I became really obsessed because I wanted to get it right. I was so worried about failing. And over time, I became less and less confident, and my demeanor became smaller. And I just really, really never quite understood why that was. Anyway, I changed profession in the end. I went into PR for a music company, and that was another story. But when I became a coach eventually for creatives, I heard this story time and time again. So a couple of examples for you. One of my musicians, sorry, somebody else is arriving. I'm just going to turn their video off. Hold on a minute. Yeah, hold on a minute. People are arriving, and I'm just going to turn your videos off. Hello, hello. Hi. Oh, it's Deborah. Wow, lovely to see you. Hi, Deborah. I'm just going to turn people's videos off so that you're not center stage. Okay, right, great. So some other examples of this, I worked with a really, really successful musician. So he worked for, he did the music for TV and adverts, and he was so successful at it, he basically became a millionaire from churning out track after track after track. But when he came to me, he said that he had done his back in because he had spent so many years in terrible posture, and he had lost confidence completely in his own creative voice. And he basically, his words were, I've become a lapdog because I just feel my whole career is trying to please everyone. I'm like constantly contorting myself. And he said, because so many people that commission my work are not musicians, they tell me to tweak things that I might not agree with. So fundamentally, my integrity gets damaged every time I do something to please them, but it's what they want. And he said, after a while, he said, I feel like I've lost confidence in my own opinion because I'm always trying to please other people and make what they want. So can I ask you, can any of you identify with this problem? Please just write in the message in the chat box. Yes, my work does that. Thank you, Elliot. Can you extend that in any way so that I have a sense of how that's landing? Okay, I'm going to tell you another example. I think I might be chatting a bit more there. Okay, so Rona says, yes, I think we have an internal dialogue around what we think our work should be like. Yeah, absolutely. We're not always just congruent in our own voice. There's like an outside voice that's often the voice of other people who say what they think it should be, and then it becomes our voice and it becomes confused. We can become confused. So Elliot says, I travel widely, but some of the projects I do give me enjoyment, but others are rather advertorial. Yeah. Yeah, rather than editorial. So there are some jobs where you do make the money, and that's necessary. We all need to make money as creatives. But yeah, if you do too many of those jobs, then you get into this awful loop. So Deborah says, trying to slot into the needs of arts organisations that can afford longer timescales and decision-making processes than an artist. Yeah, yeah, so many constraints. So thank you. And Ian says, I've always to serve the director I work for. However, I do love the collaboration. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ian. Great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So let me just tell you one more story of another client I work for, and some success stories, because it's not just doom and gloom here, because they both found another way. So the other example was an actor I worked with who was in a well-known West End musical. He had the main part in the musical. It was a very, very good part. He was the envy of all of his friends, but he came to me because he felt utterly miserable. And the reason he felt miserable, because he was finding that in his role, whenever he was so creative and he was a really good improviser, whenever he tried to change his role slightly to make it interesting for himself, his director would tell him, look, that doesn't work. There is a format to this show. It's tried and tested. You need to follow the structure and the way I've directed you. So he felt so constrained creatively, and that was just killing his creative soul. When he came to me, his confidence was below the floor. He was so frustrated with it. So, you know, I do see this in most creative professions. So the real question here is, what do you do if this happens to you? And my answer is do passion projects, because they immediately help you to get back into your own creative expression. And that then leads to more career success. So I'll tell you, I have proof of this because with both clients, this came true. So I'll tell you about the actor first of all. His name is Greg Heist. And that actor came to me because he was desperate to do his own work. So he then decided to develop his own comedy material. He was an actor, he's always acted, but he wanted to express himself. So he started writing material. He found a co-writer and they started developing comedy, little short films for comedy. And before long, he got a lot of credibility for it. He won awards. He ended up going to Cannes because he was one of his videos was picked up for an award, and he was sent to Cannes where he got to hobnob. And since then, when he came to me, he was very, very frustrated that he'd never done any film work. He has gone on to be in many, many different films, and he's just auditioned for his first Hollywood film. So I'm just going to show you a little picture of him. He's in a theatre production at the moment, and he puts it down to passion projects, putting at the centre of everything he does. So just he sent me a message this morning. He said, "Thanks again for being my champ. My passion project stuff I do is nowadays neatly feeding into some posh theatre jobs, and going into auditions, I feel full of excitement about my own project. So I no longer feel nervous or needy, and it's a lovely snowball effect." So that's proof. And the other proof is the guy who I talked about he came to me because he felt like he was on this wheel, and he became a leader. So he bought his own creative hub, set up a project space for creatives to work, and he also built some music studios there, so he runs that. And he also set up his own band called Lydian Collective and wrote lots and lots of songs which are just beautiful. And now he's on the jazz circuit. He's played at Pizza Express. He's been so successful, and he's just about to launch his own album. So really, really completely can change your career. So there we go. I'm a big fan of them. So where are we? How's everyone doing there? Okay. Yeah, okay. So the second problem I see is rejection. We all know that being a creative in the creative industries, you have to deal with rejection. It's like part of being a creative. It's just one of those things. And the problem is it can make us go two ways as creatives. It can make us needy, that we've already talked about, and lose confidence. But it can also make us develop this hard edge, and we can become really detached and defended. And I meet these creatives who are like, "Oh no, I'm fine. And there's a sense of bravado because they're scared of sharing that vulnerability or going into that more vulnerable place. And that's again the solution, I think, is if you do passion projects regularly and find you can complete them and achieve them, what it does is it's a way of accessing your emotions again. It puts you in touch with your emotions, your heart. It helps you connect with your vulnerability. And that leads to vitality, and it leads to much more powerful art that's much more expressed rather than egocentric. I think there's a fear of being vulnerable when you're constantly having to deal with rejection, and yet it's the access point to incredible work. If you think, can I get some feedback from you there? If that's your opinion of vulnerability being a good thing for creativity, the access point. Love to get some feedback from you. Yes, it has to work that way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If we think about the creatives we love more than anything, I don't like finishing and releasing a story until it's perfect. Yeah, we're looking at barriers now. But if we think about the creatives that really move us and touch us, totally agreed with Elliot. Yeah. The best creatives I work with all seem to have a lot of humility. Yeah. But I think humility comes with being able to be with your own vulnerability, and not having that bravado. If I think about creatives who've really, really touched my soul, I think there are those creatives that really, they have access to their emotional repertoire. You know, Kate Bush sends me to tears. That's why we love Amy Winehouse. That's and doing passion projects can really, really help you access that if you do them regularly. Okay, so the final problem I see is if you don't prioritize passion projects, you can get into a rut with your career. So you tend to take less risks and you get into this vicious cycle. So passion projects, if you choose to do them, they can put you in a different marketplace. So you get to be more in charge of the work you do because you raise your profile, because you've got your own work that you've made that you can put center stage. So in terms of a rut, just one example, I worked with a glassmaker whose work was beautiful, but he hated it because he was getting the wrong kind of work, because he just kept on saying yes to all the money work, and he was getting lots of work that just wasn't very interesting to him. And so he lost his heart, he lost the love of doing it, and he nearly gave it all up until he realized if he could focus on the kinds of work that he felt passionate about, then he could focus on more of that. So he ended up reprioritizing his work around doing spiritual work. So he now does glass work in cathedrals and amazing spiritual venues. So that was really, really inspirational. So that's also passion work. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now, so I've talked a lot about the benefits of it. What's your opinion on the barriers? What gets in the way of you doing these passion projects that we all want to do, and we sometimes don't get around to doing it? Let's hear from you. How can you balance life work and passion work? I know. Energy gets in the way. Okay. Fear that I can't create anything good. Yeah. Getting into the zone. Yeah. Fear comes up a lot. Thank you. Absolutely. So I love that. So for me, it's much less about fear and more about time. Okay. Yeah, so actually, but time's an interesting one, isn't it, Johnny? Because, you know, we get to choose our time. But I think one of the barriers is a lot of the time as creators, we fill our time with lots and lots of things that perhaps aren't going to move us forward. But it can be a procrastination distraction. That makes sense. So I asked this question to quite a few of you already. And these were the top ones that I thought came up for people. Focusing on one thing is really hard, I know. That is, it can take a bit of headspace to find out what it is exactly. Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I think that's so true. And if you're so busy doing lots of things, it can be hard to access that little voice inside of us. Yeah, thank you. So I think the main barriers, deciding what to do. Yes, deciding what to do. There's like so many options. So the main things I found that were barriers, one with self-doubt comes up so often. Fear of failure or perhaps success, fear of actually if I do that, I might find out I'm not as good as I thought. Fear if I start doing something, I'll realize I'm incompetent. You know, we have all of these fears, every single one of us. Even people who are incredibly successful have the same fears. We all do. It's part of the one of the quandaries of being a human being. We all have to deal with our self fears and anxieties. And perfectionism was one that came up. That was mine. I never started or finished anything because I was constantly tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. I'd start something and then I'd think, oh no, it's awful. I used to do lots of video blogs. I'd never get them out. I'd do like 23 versions. They'd all be awful and none of them would go out. Putting other people's needs before mine. I had a few people talking about how, you know, often busyness can come up, or they are looking after others and they don't prioritize their own needs as a creative. Lack of structure, no concrete steps, no clear deadline. It's hard to motivate yourself when you haven't got the clear steps in place. When you work for other people, often you have that deadline and that structure, right? You know, automatically you get it. But when you work for yourself, it's like a blank screen, you know, it can lead you to going into paralysis because you're not quite sure where to start. And especially if you have a really big project idea that you want to do. I know some people want to do things like start their own magazine. And so when you have really huge project, it can lead you to feeling absolutely debilitated with anxiety of not knowing what to start with. Isolation, loneliness. It can be lonely being a creative. Doing stuff on your own can be really tough. So often people can end up doing work with other people for other people's projects instead of doing their own stuff because it's less lonely. I know I've done that a lot in my life. Overwhelm and being busy and too many options. Lots and lots of different options. Gosh, so many options. I don't know where to start. So they are all common barriers to passion projects. So I just want to acknowledge that most of us are in the same boat, and we all have to deal with these barriers. So let's look now at what to do about it. Before we do that, I just want to go back to the benefits of getting over these barriers, because for me, it's a cycle. If you can start doing passion projects, it can lead us to re-energizing ourselves and rebooting our confidence. I drew this very, very scientific diagram before. I was just thinking about, it's like if you focus on what you really love to do, there's a little picture of a heart there, it fills up your creative tank if you start doing things from your own heart, your own creative projects. Then it gives you confidence. You feel like you achieve more when you can see yourself doing small projects and finishing them. It changes your energy when you go into meetings or if you go to auditions, then you get better jobs. And then you make a difference to others because you're impacting them in a more powerful way. And this cycle builds up your confidence over time. So it's really important. Okay, so that's enough talking. I'm now going to go into doing a little exercise. Can I check in how everyone's doing before I do that? Is this making sense to everyone? Sometimes the passion is that there is no clear steps, yet ironically, that is scary. Yes. I love that, yeah. The steps might make it less of a passion, yeah. Perfect sense. I really love that. I'm on board. Thank you, Morgan. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so it's a good reminder of what we should be doing. Yeah, and just why we should prioritize, because life does get in the way. Okay, so how do we do it? So I've got 8 steps to actually getting out of the overwhelm and getting into choosing to step into doing more passion projects. And the first tip I have is doing a passion project from a place of heart and passion rather than a should do, okay? The reason this is important is because sometimes we have projects we think we should be doing, and then we go into a place of forcing ourselves to do it, and it never works. So an example of this is I tried to do this project about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was forcing myself, and I got so anxious that I gave it up. And it really was the right decision to give it up, because even if it was my passion, I was so anxious that at the time my motivation was from a should do rather than a want to do. So my first tip is checking in with getting into a place of passion. So can I ask you all to get into a comfortable position? And if you're sitting, try and sit up for this. And if you're in a place where you're home, you might want to stand so that you get some energy in this. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. So close your eyes. And again, I want you to take a few deep breaths. So you really feel centered. And I want you to just bring to mind a time in your life where you felt really connected with your passions, when you felt the most alive. So it might have been a time when you were doing some drawing or dancing. It might be a beautiful walk. So when you felt the most alive, really lit up, And just bring that alive for yourself. And perhaps you can see a picture of yourself there. Or you might be in your body, re-experiencing the aliveness and the passion of what it felt like to do that. So just notice in your body what it feels like to be connected with passion. What do you notice? Perhaps you notice your breath changing a bit. Or you might feel some like bubbles in your stomach. Or you might feel a kind of zinginess. Or nothing, that's totally fine too. Just remember what this passionate feeling felt like and what it was you were doing at the time. Okay, so just opening your eyes a minute. And I just want to check in with any of you what feelings you got when you were really connected with your passion. And anyone can speak out loud if you want as well. I can unmute you. Or I can just read out your messages. A feeling of expansion. A good kind of nervous energy in my chest. Okay, it's interesting, Morgan. Did anyone notice that breathing change? Feeling connected with myself and others. Oh, that's beautiful, Cameron. Yeah. Feeling of connection. Oh, that's coming out a lot. A feeling of connection, a real sense of expansiveness. Joy. Wonderful. Feeling aligned, internal and external. A feeling of calmness. And gosh, connections coming out so often. I love that. Yeah, so there's a connection with you, and there's also a feeling of being connected outside as well. So my first tip really is just get to know this feeling, because this is the feeling that is, oh, so this is so beautiful. Feeling of a white silvery disc in front of me. It felt so open and yet so safe. Oh God, that's so beautiful, Deborah, thank you. This is the energy and the state that I want you to connect with in terms of your passion project. I don't want you to pick some sort of passion project that's going to feel like, oh, I've got to do this, because that is just not good for your soul. It's not good for creativity or for your spirit. I want you to pick something that helps you to access this place. So you might want to think about what it was that brought you to that feeling, because that might be an indication of the kind of passion project you might want to start doing over Christmas. We've got a few weeks. So for me, this place is really important. If I'm connected to this centered place and I'm doing what I love to do, then what I find is I get more and more creative. We get into that zone that Elliot was just saying it's really difficult to get through. And so we just did a simple strategy there. We connected in ourselves to our bodies. We shifted our mindset to think about a passion that we have, and we can do it in an instant. So there's a really, really great strategy, and it's about being able to connect with that anytime that you need it, because we all have that as an access point. So the next question I have, I'm going to get you to close your eyes again, and I'm going to ask you if you were going to pick something to do for the next 6 weeks to commit to. What would be a passion project? And this can be a part of something bigger, but you would love to do. Something that would give you a real sense of satisfaction, achievement. So just go inside again and connect with that beautiful, calm place. Take a couple of deep breaths. And just check in what feels good for you to at least start or finish. It might be a book that you've worked on before and you never finished it. Maybe it's some poems or some painting. Something that feels good for you to do. It would really feel good. It would feel amazing. Okay, wow. So I've got something from Deborah already, learned the words of some songs. Okay, lovely. Anybody else? Does anybody want to speak out loud? 'Cause it'd be lovely to hear some voices. And if not, I will just read what you say here. That's totally fine. So are there any other kind of projects that you would love to do? Okay. Elliot, do you want to just unmute yourself there? Well, unmute you. Yeah. So what would be your project, Elliot?
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Good. Well, I've got this book that, as you know, that I've written, and I want to get started on the next one. But I'm terrible at sitting down and working out who I should get to promote it, how I want to, editing it in its final form. And getting a better sense
you're getting into the should. What would feel good then for you? What would give you pleasure?
I think understanding how the system works of me going from having this thing that I've written to how it gets onto a bookshelf or online or whatever. But I like doing things when I'm perfect at doing them. I don't like not knowing. So between me having finished this book, which I quite like, but there's holes in it, and getting it out there are 25 stages, and I don't necessarily know what they all are or how to do them. So I'm rather stymied by A, my own ignorance, and B, my concern that I need to know everything that I need to know before I have done it.
So this is an interesting spot.
Which is kind of counterintuitive.
So here we have a passion project that you've done, which is amazing. So first of all, congratulations on achieving that, because that's huge. And what I notice is we're in the place of a should. Del, do you see what I mean? So what would feel good for you? If connect to a place of pleasure here, Elliot? Yeah. What would feel great?
Yeah, it would feel great to know. I mean, I'm a journalist and I know how to be a journalist. I don't know how to be an author.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, I'd like to be in a position of getting up in the morning thinking, oh, I know how to be an author.
Okay.
This is what it feels like.
Passion project would be learning to be an author.
Would be getting my book out and having got over the big sort of first hurdle of not knowing whether, not really knowing whether it's any good, but knowing how one gets to put a book out, what it looks like to do it, what I had to do to have done it.
The passion project, because you've actually written, you've done the hard bit.
Yeah.
How can I get it out there? That would be a great one for you.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so I'm going to unmute you now. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so the challenge for us is how can we do that with joy so we keep in the flow, so that we don't go into that the heavy, heady place that we often do when we have to do the more sort of tricky parts, because it's still connecting to something deeply important. Thank you so much. Yeah, congratulations, Elliot. Wow. Getting it out there, Kindle, brilliant. So what about anybody else? Anybody else have something they would like to claim or declare to the group they'd love to do? And you can write it at the bottom, that's fine. Okay, I've got some others that I heard from earlier. A solo show. Somebody would say they spent a lot of time doing a PhD and they are so desperate to do their own solo show. Somebody talked about wanting to do their own photographs again, photographic exhibition. They'd absolutely love to do that. How about the rest of you? Anybody else in there? Okay. No problem. Okay, so I'm going to carry on then. So if you have, actually, I'm going to mute you all for a second and just ask you, guys, can I get you to just, I haven't had that many of you saying, is there any other, anything else you want to say there about that exercise? Oh gosh.
It's got the mental dog. I won't give my dog a bone.
Do you want to meet me, Nicky? That's my dog going crazy with that toy.
There we go, you're unmuted. Yeah. Anybody else like a little project to do?
Sorry, Nicky, could you just repeat the question? Because I had to go off for 5 minutes. So I had you in my ear, but I wasn't concentrating. I'm so sorry.
Who's this? Is that Johnny? Yes.
Yeah, no, sorry, I had something and I had to respond to as I.
Yeah. Is there a project you would love to get done over the next few weeks?
Oh yeah, building a typeface, but
Okay, so
I am also doing a couple of other. I don't think I'm very good. I don't think I'm very good. Maybe building my, building my website. That's about it.
Okay, building your website. That's Johnny. Okay.
Rebuilding it. Yeah.
Rebuilding it. Okay. Some of the practical. Owen is talking. Owen, I can't hear you. Gosh, crazy. A lot of strange noises going on over there. Owen, if you could type in the bottom, that would be great. Lisa Tenner has some online stuff about publishing. Okay, great. All right, no worries. Okay, so the point is, we all have a variety of things that we could be doing. And so often what happens is we can get into the interminable chasing our tail state. So my suggestion is, if this feels good for you and you would like to take a project forward, I would suggest just choose one, and it can be super small. Like a lovely example of there is doing a drawing for my mother, just to get back into drawing again. It could be something about taking a project and getting it out there, doing a website. It could be learning some songs. So my suggestion is just choose something that's gonna feel really, really important for you to step in to being the creative that you know you wanna be, doing more of your own stuff, expressing your voice that will move you forward. This is my project and I'm going to give this a go. So my suggestion for the next tips in how you move it forward is, first of all, you imagine the outcome, that we think about our project and we imagine ourselves doing it. So we really fuel the desire and we imagine it going really well. If we want to keep in our state of a beautiful, calm, energized state, if we allow ourselves to access that place of panic, anxiety, scatteredness, we won't put our heart and soul into a project. So there's something for me about making a choice, connecting with your passion, and fueling that desire to do it, like really focusing on what it is you want. The next thing is just take one small action, however small. It could be something like writing a list of things you need to do. It might be making one phone call. It could be getting the lyrics out, getting the book off the shelf that you've been wanting to finish for 3 years. Take one action now. So an example of this, when I woke up on Monday morning this week and I thought I'd really like to do this course on running a passion project, I'd like to give that a go. That was a thought in my mind on Monday morning. The first action I did was I just went onto Facebook and put, hey, anybody interested in this project? And by taking one action, what happened to me was I got all of this feedback from people saying, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to hear about this idea. And I said in my Facebook update, I'm thinking of doing an online training session this week. Are you interested? And I got lots of positive feedback. Oh, so then I had to do it because I put it out there from that one action. And then I was committed. So the next thing is just committing to something and set a really clear intention for yourself. It doesn't matter what happens with it, but just set your intention to do it. It's so powerful when we set our intentions, and it's about stepping into it and taking one small action with a clear intention of keeping going. So then the next stage is breaking into small, manageable chunks and having deadlines. One of the barriers to all of us getting our projects done is just the chaos of too many options. So if you have small chunks, it feels less overwhelming. Then it's about getting into creative habits, mastering your energy with creative habits. So that can be that you have just certain habits that really help you monitor your energy and move you from A to B with your project. So that habit could be you do just 15 minutes a day every morning on your work that you do every single day. Celebrate success is the next one. And this is for someone like you, Elliot, who's like already onto the next stage. It's so important to celebrate our small wins when we're doing a creative project. And the last thing is get accountability. Okay, so that's 8 things that I think are really important. Choose a passion project, not a have to do project. Get clear on your outcome, fuel your desire. Take one action to move you forward, however small. Commit to it with a really clear intention. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Break it into chunks with achievable deadlines. Get into creative habits. Could be just 15 minutes a day. It's all you do. Celebrate success and get accountability. So they're my tips. And that moves us on to the course that I have launched that I'd like to share with you. So before I move on to that, any questions or thoughts on what we've done today? Any feedback or thoughts on how to complete a passion project? A little sip of water here. Very motivating. Thank you. It's helpful to hone ideas. Thank you. Really enjoyed this, Nicky. I feel motivated to. Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Gina. That's lovely. More focused. Okay. Love the connection with the feeling first and letting that guide the way. Yes! Cameron's feeling positive already. What Ian said, yeah, already started doodling. Morgan started already. Wow. I love it. Okay. So, gang, as I said at the beginning, this is totally new for me. I was thinking it might be more people talking back to me, but excellent guidance. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. But that's okay. This has been a really, really brilliant chance to talk this through, but I do want to talk you through the next stage, because some of you might feel inspired to do a project with me over the Christmas holidays, and it'll be slightly different to how this format's been. Like, I have been talking at you for the whole hour and I haven't had people's videos up because I wanted to be discreet for you, because some people are going to be watching this afterwards. But the project I want to launch is a 6-week program. So once a week, we'll get together as a little pod, a few people together, and you will complete a passion project over 6 weeks. Yes. So it can be super small. It doesn't have to be huge. I think the thing is, with a 6-week deadline, you have a date in mind to work towards, and you have accountability along the way. So we're going to slowly step into working together for those 6 weeks. Okay, so we'll have a weekly call like this. Your videos will all be up, so you'll meet everybody in the group. It won't just be me. Everybody will be together, so it'll have a lovely community feel. So it's a 6-week program. What you will get, so with the program, you will have 6 calls like this, and there's an agenda to it. The first week is going to be blast off. So we're going to clarify, get really clear on the outcome. We did it really quickly here. It's too quick. So we need more time to really focus on what it is you really want. What would be the outcome of a 6-week course? We're going to do some visualizations where you visualize the success and you will declare intentions to each other, and you will start a plan of the 6 weeks of what the milestones are going to be. So we'll be breaking it down into little chunks in that first session. So you'll have a bit of structure to start off with. Then what you'll get from me is a workbook, which is packed full of materials. It's got weekly plans in there. It's got lots of tools and things that you can use over the 6 weeks, but we'll be using some of them. And what I'll give you is a weekly plan for you to start planning out your week. And it can be just like 15 minutes a day, I'm going to do doodles. That's all you need to do. So you can commit to this as little or as much as you want. I'm not going to be the judge of that. It is if you just want to learn some songs or whatever you want to do, you'll be part of a really inspiring community. So the second week, we're going to look at creative habits. As I talked about before, it's the habits that you get into that will depend on what your outcome is. So if your habit is to go to bed at 2 o'clock every night, or zone out in front of the television over Christmas, or drink too much, you might want to look at that. So we're going to set some really intentional habits for you to play with to improve your creativity and your productivity. So those habits might be 10-minute journaling in the morning, writing a gratitude journal, which gets you into the right state. It might be your habit is doing 15 minutes of something, which is a tip from another creativity coach called Sam Bennett, and I think it's brilliant. So we'll do creative habits. And then the third week will be just after Christmas. So it'll be manage the halfway Christmas gremlins, dealing with any procrastination or self-sabotage that will crop up, which it will. We all self-sabotage, but it will help you to just notice how you're self-sabotaging so you can get back on track again. And I can coach people live. We can work on what is going on and helping you get back into the flow and feeling confident again, feeling like, yeah, I'm on purpose with my creative project. Then the next week will be just after New Year. So it'll be the 3rd of Jan, not John, and it's called Being Bold and Taking Risks. So it's about shifting forward into 2017 with some really bold intentions. So, okay, you've been working on your project, so let's start the new year with power. So we'll be thinking about, now you've done this, what would be some bold risks? So my bold risk was doing this. This was quite bold of me. I've never done one before. It was a bit scary. So it's all about setting your intentions to taking more risks in the new year. Week 5 is becoming a completer finisher. This is where a lot of creatives give up or get into that procrastination zone. So staying with it, persevering, getting the job done within the time frame. And the last week, it's celebration time, how to celebrate success. We'll be looking at how important it is to celebrate the journey along the way, so that you can build on the next phase. So you'll get 6 weeks with me. You can join live, or you can just listen afterwards and listen to the meditations and everything that we'll do on the calls. And you'll have an online workbook to work with. And also we'll get together in a Facebook group as well. So that's what it's going to be. So it's a pilot program. The price, I was going to do it for £145, which I think is less than the price of a coaching session, because I wanted it to be, affordable for as many people as possible. And if there's anyone who's dying to do it and they're completely broke at the moment, send me an email, because I've also got an idea for people who are not able to afford £145, but I think it's a pretty good deal, because what you'll get all the exercises I do with my coaching clients anyway in a book, so you'll have it for life. You'll also have these recordings for life as well, so you can go back to it time and time again to re-energize you for each of the weeks. So how does that sound? Are there any questions about that? I daren't unmute you all, because if chaos is going to ensue. I like it. Elliot says, oh, good. I like it. Like the steps. Good. What date does it start? Good question. Okay, so I wanted to start it next week, 13th at 6 p.m. UK time. That means people in America can do it if they want to. And it sounds exciting. Woo, good. Well, you're in America, aren't you, Cameron? So yeah, so that thanks so much for that. I have to fly. No worries, not at all. So yeah, it'll start next week. Sounds really good program. Nicky, will you run it again in the future, perhaps in this week? I don't know, Gina, if I'm honest. This is the first time I've done something like this. Sometimes I just get an idea and I want to try it out. So it's a good question, because I might never do this again. I don't know. I might do. If it feels good to do it again, I might do it again. But it might be like 3 years before I do it again. Don't know. I want to do this for my own development, and I feel excited about doing it. So it's really, I just don't know. That is the honest truth. So I would recommend it. Because the thing is, great way to start the year powerfully and end the year powerfully, Cameron. It's both. It's absolutely both. For me, it's about, galvanizing your energy at a time that you can go into a negative space, and starting the year with a real manifesto, like this is how I want the year to be. So yeah, thank you. Peer pressure passion. I like that. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, sounds like a really good program though. Yeah, good. It sounds like it's landing for people. So what I would recommend is, if you are interested, send me a quick email after this. Dr. Nita will count me in. Oh, good. Elliot's doing it. Brilliant. So happy you're doing it, Elliot. That would be amazing. So send me an email afterwards. Great, that's no problem. I'm just about finished. I will send an email. Brilliant. Okay, so Elliot's on board. I've got a few other people who are interested as well. They couldn't make it today. So it might be a really small group, and that's fine. That's fine. If it's a small group, you'll get more attention from me. You'll get some direct coaching. And normally you would have to pay quite a lot more for that. So I would grab the opportunity. I would like to do it. John's in. Yay, great, good. So what I recommend, I don't want to take any more time because it's 3:05. If you are interested, send me an email and I'll send all the information to you. In fact, I'll send out the information after this call anyway to people, and I'll sign you up. And yeah, let's get going for next week. You don't have to join the calls live if you don't. If nobody's there, and I'll just do the materials and the exercises anyway. But I'm sure people will be able to make some of the calls. Are there any questions before we finish? I'm gonna unmute you. All hell might ensue, but never mind. Unmute all.
Thanks, Nikki. That was great.
Who's that, Deborah? Hi!
Hi, from Buenos Aires. Fantastic. Feeling really motivated. Thanks.
Very strange talking to myself. Anybody else out there got any questions?
Nikki, you said that you were recording it. So if I want to watch it back again, whereabouts can I find? Are you going to send the link out?
Yes, I will. Yes, I'm hoping it's recorded. Yes, it is recorded. Yeah, I will send the link out afterwards so you can watch it again. Yeah, who's that?
That's Gemma.
Hi, Gemma. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions, anyone? Or Ian Murray is talking. Ian, it's saying you're talking, but I can't hear you, sadly.
Hear me?
Yeah, oh, hello.
No, I wasn't talking, so I was listening. Good enough. Nice work, well done.
Powerful skills with your listening. It came up as that.
You've broken up. Say that again.
It said at the top you were talking when you were just listening. You're a powerful man, Ian, quite clearly.
All right, well, there you go.
But listen, thank you again. Thanks everybody who's been watching. Thank you for being here live with me. I so appreciate you giving up your time. It's been really, really lovely to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll hopefully hear from a few of you after the call, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, thanks.